we've been saying it all season that there's too many damn characters and too many damn plot lines, and that the finale probably wasn't going to be able to wrap it up. And I would say this turned into a trailer for season 3 because it didn't really wrap it up for me.
That's what like the whole second half of season 2 felt like. Not even just this last episode, especially in this last episode, but this whole season has been like, we're building to something. Just wait till we finish all these actual plot lines.
Just to go through a few of them real quickly, the Brotherhood gets mentioned in the post-credit scene, but we haven't seen them since like episode 4. So that's like a month ago, our time. This show seems like it was made to be binged, and like season 1.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this show feels like I should have just been able to consume it all in one go, because then I would have had more of an attachment to some of these characters.
Yeah, because that way you get more of them at a time. Like you can do 2 or 3 episodes at once. It really doesn't feel like you're meant to be doing 1 episode at a time, because Norm and the Radroaches are incredibly important this season, and they were 3 episodes at this point ago, and that was just, hey, what's in the elevator? Radroaches. And this episode, they're pivotal to his survival because they know he has plot armor. I didn't hate the season as a whole. I think it still had good parts and some good storylines, but all of the clutter and everything just made me feel like I wasted so much time to get here. And I'm not even going to get a payoff until 2027, 2028 for like the Norm storyline. And I stand by what I said a few weeks ago, which is Janie, Cooper's daughter, is Rico's new girlfriend.
Yes, because she conveniently is the only one who lived in that group.
Exactly. And she's the only one that like looked at a photo, and also Janie's missing. Spoilers, by the way. Otherwise, why does she exist? And like, why does Norm exist? Norm only exists to put like another bridge to give her something to do. And they reiterate this episode, you only started here a week ago.
Not one of us either, Claudia. You only got this job last week.
Like I said, I just started this job a week ago.
I drove down across that bridge a week ago.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
It explains why no one would know who she is.
Yeah. And also don't at me with the, it's a Filipino actress. Hollywood doesn't give a shit what you think. She looks moderately mixed race. So
Correct.
she is now Cooper's and Barbara. That's good enough for Hollywood. They don't give a damn. And also, I don't give a damn.
Yes. Yeah.
But let's go through some of the other unresolved plot lines. Let's start with something that I think I did like for the most part of the series, which
Okay.
is Lucy.
Lucy, our main character.
What are the 2 things Lucy does this episode?
Lucy has a chat with her dad and like I don't know, is it a test of faith?
Immediately we start with her like, will she, won't she have to kill this person? Because that was built up. The Congresswoman is a thing.
Yes.
But then she just clubs her to death. They did it off screen, so I thought maybe they were like, oh, did she? But no, she did. And it's like, oh, but it didn't feel like a change in her moment because she wanted to die.
Yeah. Why are you doing this with her again? And I know she's like, why do people keep wanting me to kill? We had this on the strip 3 episodes ago
We
with
had
her.
this season 1. We've had this every episode.
And it's been like more consequential. This is the least amount of character changing it's had to be. This should have been the first one because it's putting like a wounded animal or person out of their misery. She found a disembodied head and she immediately goes to like comfort them instead of like put them out of the misery or like disconnect tube. Why is she still repeating these character beats? I bet she's going to keep doing it next season too.
And she definitely seems like a shock factor reveal of, oh, this person that you thought was important in the flashbacks is just ahead. Oh, she's dead now.
It's like used just for like, here's one clip of somebody. What's this big build-up going to be? It's absolutely nothing. We're never going to find out anything more about her.
It was a good build-up last episode. I'll give them that. Seeing the head, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But then, yeah, they club her to death in the first 2 minutes. I'm like, oh.
But she's like a Futurama, just like disembodied head.
With a feeding tube?
Also, was she speaking or was it like the voice box next to her?
Bit of both.
I'm like,
Yeah.
she doesn't have a throat.
Yes, she also, one of the things said like forced feeding tube, but I guess maybe it was feeding straight to her brain. It doesn't really matter.
But yeah, so we get Lucy has a crisis of faith. Her dad catches up to her and then they speak more about this whole like the greater good type thing. It's very Hot Fuzz.
Yep.
You know, the greater good.
He goes into his plan, I guess, which is House wanted people to just be robots, but he wanted to give them a little something of more humanity. I don't know if that's any better. And they also don't go into enough of like, is there any of the person left?
Yeah. And what we've seen of these brainwashed people is they don't have any remnants of their past life at all. And like the way he's explained it, I think he just says like it just implants like happy memories and stuff in their head. Or
But if they hated their
positive
life,
stuff.
None of the background characters in this show are actual people. Like that's my main problem with New Vegas as a setting. New Vegas should feel like a character.
Yes,
Like there's a reason
yeah.
people are hyped up for New Vegas. But then like that whole section out there with New Vegas doesn't matter. and is inconsequential. And because I don't know anyone, I don't care about anyone. Inside with Lucy, there's that room full of people. I don't care about any of them. I know them all post-op.
I would care more about the brainwashed people if it seemed like it just had a calming effect on them. Like the NCR and Legion guy were like, if we just had one conversation where they were like, can you believe we used to fight all the time? Like they still have all of their remnants of their past self, but they're just like placid now.
Yeah. It's meant to be like, what is killing? Like, does this count as killing them if they're no longer themselves? But again, they barely spend any time on Lucy in general, and all she does is that conversation, and then the ghoul rocks up to save her, because this is Ex Machina the episode, and the ghoul spends his whole time before he shoots Hank in the ass, just walking through a corridor.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming because they were hinting that the Enclave is the main bad guy. So all of Coop's story this episode is just a lore dump of the Enclave. Like we have him walking down a corridor while Robert House is on his Pip-Boy just telling him Enclave lore.
Yeah.
It kind of works because they're like a big mysterious faction. So we don't need to know much about them apart from they're like powerful and they show them in the mountains.
Wrapping up on Lucy, she feels firstly like a character in other people's stories, but I don't care that she's in them. I don't care for her takes on them, her like fish out of water mentality in all this like crazy stuff that's happening.
It worked in season 1, but we're in season 2 now.
Yeah, but I don't care about her thoughts on any situation. I care more about the story that she's in than her being in those stories and contributing to them.
Yeah.
So she doesn't really pay off as like a character for me. Cooper / the Ghoul gives Mr. House an ultimatum. You know, he points a gun at his power core and says, either you're going to subscribe to Bergenbeard or I'm blowing up the whole planet.
I told you back then, everyone subscribes to Bergenbeard sooner or later.
The Ghoul, we touched on him a little bit. He meets up with House. House kind of just like explains stuff to him. I told you like I wasn't the baddest guy in the room. And then after a little bit of like, I guess kind of dick measuring a little bit, he's like, how about I blow up the whole planet?
Yeah,
maybe.
Like with our planet. It's good because the Ghoul can act and like he's a threatening feeling guy. Like he has presence in the scene. And it's, even though it is him talking to a monitor, they both have big dicks to measure at the very least. So there's something there.
I wish House would have called his bluff and been like, you're really going to blow up maybe the world, maybe America, when you don't know if your family's still out there. And that would have made the Ghoul hesitate because that's like the actual only thing he cares about.
Yeah, and House's goal is to not die currently. So like House's goal of not dying does align with Cooper not killing him. But that doesn't feel like there's much tension there apart from, hey, maybe don't blow up the planet or kill me. Because I guess he could have just taken back the sonic quill.
Yes.
Or like, it doesn't feel like enemies teaming up.
Yes, it's not enemies become lovers.
House has never really felt, like a bad guy, apart from the psycho-sadistic murdering people in his first episode.
I think it's just like more like kind of making it more like House in like the game because he doesn't have a henchman to do stuff for him. I think he's hoping that Coop is going to be his legs, his person.
But he had all those Securitrons in the game, which I feel added threat of
but they don't exist anymore.
Yes, that's why he works in the game though, because it's like he could take over if you do give him...
Like there is a presence of him around.
Yeah.
And like the strip is him.
If you give him this platinum chip, he will take over. Whereas this House, what's he going to do? Is it plug in a computer?
Fast forward, he guides Coop to the vault to where his family is. They open up the cryopods. Surprise, they're empty.
Anyone that's ever seen media.
What did you think was going to happen? He finds his family and then what? His story's over?
And like when they did the reveal of the cryotubes, they didn't show the people in them. They showed the names. Like they were never going to give us anything. This is Cuckchair the show. Like he's been looking for his family for 2 seasons where it is literally walk from point A to point B. Is my family here? No, your princess is in another castle. I'm going to walk back this way. Oh, she's not here either. And now he's going to fucking Colorado because this show doesn't want our main characters together. It doesn't want dynamics. It's like, hey, what if Cooper went to fucking Colorado?
But also it's
reason?
like it's just another member berry from the game.
Tactics or something? Robert House is like, people have always tried to kill me.
Over the years, my body became something of a target for wandering travelers with something to prove.
I'm like, that's from the game. I remember that one.
But when Coop finds out that his plotline must continue, he just takes off his talking house, which I imagine someone's going to pick up next season.
Or House is in the cloud now if a cloud exists.
Something like that. Or he'll hack into Lucy's.
Yeah, because it says no signal. But like...
He could have just like beamed to something.
Yeah, House was gone and now he's back.
Because he does have unlimited power now.
Yeah, even though it's only behind doors. Could you just get that?
But it's like, does he travel? Is he like Electro? He can like travel through electricity. Anyway, House gets ditched in the tunnel and he's like, no, please, we need to kill the Enclave, please.
Yeah, because they're the bad guy of season 3, because AI is the bad guy in our world at the moment. So I assume...
Also, Shadow Government is the enemy in like our real world.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's always going to be a
You're telling
good...
me there's a secret cabal of people?
Hush now. Cooper gets a bit of past story where you see in it that Lucy's dad gets married to Stef and you're like, oh my God, her and Lucy are besties, but then she also was like dating his dad for a bit.
But they haven't seen each other for 12, 14 episodes, something like that. Like, that's what these relationships are so pointless. Nothing is even connecting. But yeah, then he walks off into the distance. House is maybe gone somewhere. It's like, look at this thing for season 3 that isn't really a resolution. Like Cooper does this whole season with 0 resolution.
I saw a meme before I watched the episode being like, when you find out that juicy bit of extra lore in Coop's flashback part, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's like he goes to the airport, House calls him and says like, I told you I wasn't the baddie. And then he gets arrested. And then you see like, no, but he actually had a secret conversation with his wife where he's like, just say it was all me. Don't take any fall. Like, I'll take the fall.
Yeah, that's not...
I'm like, what lore dump?
It was weird that they weren't together. Did they think that we would think Barbara was a bad guy for a second? And then we would be like, oh no, she is a good guy.
We find out that she's actually, like, her character's completely flipped because he wouldn't want to save someone who double crosses him in the past.
Yeah.
So we need to make her a good guy. Initially, she was the one who dropped the bombs, maybe, or suggested it. And then now she's like, I'm going to help you not drop the bombs. And then she's like, we're working together, we're a team. And then he's like, I'll take the fall for it. And then I'm just like,
Yep.
But also, we know that's not the last time he sees her. So this sad, like, farewell isn't the end of it.
Because we know that he's got his daughter when the bombs drop.
He's not in prison.
Yeah, that's the problem with doing prequels and flashbacks in the same show. Like, CW's Arrow ran into that, like, in season 2. They're like, fuck, what do? We got him off the island. Send him back to the island.
Yeah,
He's doing, like, CIA.
Oh, didn't you know that he actually was on the island for 6 months and he loved the island?
And he went to Russia and he killed people and
that one guy was there. Anyway. All right, who else do we get? Super quick, we get Rico.
Rico literally only exists to link him to the girl, to link him to Janie Howard. It's happening. Sorry, they do give him one more thing. He finds out about FEV and that there's a big plot with Vault 31 and 32 and I guess 33. And that's when we get Steph's side of that, which is Stef is going to activate phase 2 because apparently the only reason that hasn't happened is because the Enclave wasn't told to do it yet.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like stage 2 should be more planned. Like, it doesn't really make the Enclave feel like a threat.
Like, what was supposed to happen to trigger phase 2?
I guess the Overseer was like, all right, they're ready.
Yeah, but it's like, was that supposed to be Hank, right?
I assume so, because Hank and Steph were Enclave, not Vault Tech. So that means the plan for the Vault maybe wasn't... No, because Buds knew about the plan, which means it was Vault Tech, but I guess it was technically Enclave plan because they were intertwined. It's muddy at the very best.
Yeah, but either way, we get a mysterious phase 2 announcement, which gets broadcasted in like an Enclave facility in the mountains somewhere in Colorado. Who knows?
I guess, we're Australian, we don't know if it snows in Colorado, but I assume it has to be because otherwise are they off somewhere else?
They're somewhere.
Because Vault 0 is in Colorado, under Chain Mountain, where the Stargate is. I think that's a lore thing. Yeah, Steph does nothing. Like, we literally cut all the way back to Steph in her office. She doesn't leave that office. And then she starts the thing. We don't see anything about the water shortage in the other one.
Thank God. And we don't get the inbreeding.
Yes, thank God. But why the fuck was I doing an inbreeding support group?
Great. Now we get that filler still in the next season.
Yeah. Even if you keep Steph, all you need is you get 33's Overseer coming over and say, hey, we're short on water. I don't need to see that they're short on water. And also there's an incest support group that is helping to cause the shortage because they're having too many snacks. And we get a musical number. Like, what?
But also the water shortage may be resolved at the end of last one because she tells Steph, like, we need that water now.
I assume whatever phase 2 is probably uses the water supply, would be my guess.
You
Maybe
reckon?
it's FEV in the water. So Steph's like, I'll give you my water with poison in it. Ha ha ha. Not that it was interesting to start with, but it definitely feels like you could have not spent 10 minutes an episode on that plot line only to, again, kick the stone down the road to season 3 and be like, that's for later. Like, that's what I mean. Like, it's a cuck chair of an episode. I'm getting more annoyed the more I talk about it, the more I realize how many of these things haven't paid off.
Yeah.
The only storyline that I guess paid off is Lucy's, which is maybe why I semi-liked it. Because it was like, at least she has conversations with her dad and then has to still her dad, like, kill him. So, like, there is something there, but it wasn't like she had to spend multiple episodes with him. Well, I guess she did, except it was 10 minutes per episode. So, like, it wasn't really built up as much as I like.
Yeah. In Lucy's episode, at the very end, they finally escape the vault together and she's holding onto like one of those controllers because she chipped him. She's thinking about whether to do it or not. And then he kind of just lore dumps on her that, oh, surprise, I've already released a bunch of like invisible chipped people into the
agents.
Yeah. And then he just activates the chips programming in his neck and just like tranquilizes
He
himself.
suicides, basically. And
then
she's like, no.
We get this really sad moment where she's like, she's like so sad she lost her dad, but I don't care.
I half cared. I was like, oh, that's a bummer. But like, it again took the control away from her. It's not that she had to do it to stop him stabbing someone. It had less effect on me than her stopping the NCR and Legion guy killing each other. Like, that to me was at least higher stakes than him just being like, haha, sorry, bitch. He definitely should have chipped her much earlier if this is all he cared about. Or he should have tried to stop her a lot earlier, because he lets her go and then he's like, it's unfortunate you had to do that. And I guess he is a robot. He's not one of the friendly robots because the Congresswoman is now dead and can't work her magic on his chip to make him like jovial.
Yeah, I wonder what like the repercussions of...
Yeah, well, I think it was underexplained. It was just like the programming is done by this Congresswoman's head. So is that a live feed where she's constantly dishing out instructions that are like friendly? Or is it that she programs a chip? That one's good. Send that out. She does the next one. Because he was kind. It wasn't like he was like, beep, boop, I will wipe smudge off your face. Beep, boop, beep. It was sweet, I guess.
Yeah.
And also, again, they're both good actors. So I was in there a little bit. I was like, one
I'm just sad
foot
we don't
in.
get him for next season. Like, we might get some flashbacks maybe.
He ain't dead, baby.
Yeah, okay.
We don't know what they can do.
Very true.
There's no telling with the miracles of science these days.
There's a micro plot line at the start of the episode. Macaulay Culkin becomes the new Caesar and says, we're going to raid the strip. We're going to build a palace worthy of a Caesar's palace, a Kaiser's palace, which is funny because that's a real place. But then it's like, okay, like that was done in like probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Yeah. Which
Super
again,
quick.
we haven't seen them since episode 2. I think Coop blew up their whole camp. And now we cut back to them however many days later in a civil war. And then he comes out victorious and everyone just agrees on it. We didn't see the war over or anyone win the war or his people win the war. He literally just emerges and everyone's like, war's over.
The whole reason that they were in a civil war is because they couldn't agree on who was Caesar.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's like, no, but he finally got the body. But it's like the reason that there was tension between the legions is because they didn't want either one of them to get to them because they suspected one of them was maybe the other one was going to be Caesar. So they seized the throne. But they're like, okay, like that guy had the body. So
He's wearing the crown.
he's wearing the
I don't know
crown,
what to tell
even
ya.
though the other guy was wearing a crown in the last
He
episode.
was wearing a crown.
Anyway.
But this one's a different crown. But yeah, 100%. They weren't a threat in episode 2.
Yeah.
They put one chick's head on a pike and then they just hung Lucy up.
But they threatened to intercourse her.
And then the ghoul just easily killed them because they let him in. And then they have like a comic barrel, like a red barrel there that he just
they have
shot.
like a Assassin's Creed-esque, like ignite the barrels. Put them on the back burner for a little bit.
It's literally the start and end of the episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the last thing you see on the episode is them marching towards the Vegas Strip. And you're like, okay, so that's going to be like an ongoing fight that I guess is going all the way through next season.
Which just means our characters are probably trapped there, but probably not trapped there.
Well, it's just a way for them to keep the plot in New Vegas.
The background characters are boring. So like I don't give a shit about Freeside or the Strip, but I also don't care about all 3 of the factions because they've destroyed them over the season. And now they're rebuilding them. Like the NCR's back. The Enclave is a big thing again. And Brotherhood of Steel is also back. And the Legion is back too.
I'm not doing that.
A big chunk of the episode is filling time by using Maximus. Maximus was used to pad out the start of the season with his Brotherhood storyline that didn't really do anything or go anywhere because it established new lore saying like, oh, there's factions of the Brotherhood. Oh, they're now fighting because of what Maximus did. And then at the end of this one, they're like, oh, one of them is like, I'll destroy. But we don't even know whether the Civil War is over in the Brotherhood. But whatever, they've been doing something off screen. But in this one, Maximus pads time by fighting Deathclaws because we need an action scene in our finale.
Correct.
Are Deathclaws meant to be that weak?
They're meant to be like probably like top 3 scariest enemies. Like Deathclaws and like cazadors in New Vegas, like the scariest shit. They're like cazadors, like giant wasps.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like they're some of the scariest creatures in the Fallout show. Hence why they're using them here. But then Maximus can just like one-shot them. Like he's shooting like one missile at it and like vaporizing them.
Accidentally as well. He says weapons online, and then his Iron Man armor just blows one up,
Yes.
and then he's like, oh wow, that's cool, blows another one up. And like even Thaddeus helps out by just shooting one in the face.
Yeah, he just has like a regular rifle and just like blinds one, which I'm like, okay, great shot from between the toes.
For a centaur.
Maybe.
He's
for
probably not a
something.
centaur. Like you said, I think you said last week, he's not a centaur because that's meant to be a dog and a human. But also, I don't think the show really cares.
I don't think it cares.
And also, I think a centaur would be boring. He's going to be something different. He's going to be something wacky.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be something wacky. So yeah, they give him one-shot capabilities, even without the shooty gun weapons.
Yep.
They also like say that sometimes his arm blade can just block, but then sometimes it can also just saw through the head
Yeah.
completely.
And if you cut their jaw off, they die, apparently.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, they sometimes die really easily, but then they're also like the most scariest thing ever.
The one good thing about his plotline, which I also kind of hate, is the fact that they did give him an arc this season. He's one of the only characters I feel like that had a proper arc. Like Lucy, I feel, even though she had a resolution, she's not really a different person.
Yeah.
Whereas Maximus didn't know who he was at the start of the season. He's now a hero of the NCR, just like his papa / sure, his papa was an engineer or whatever, but he's a good man. He was a scared little boy, and now he's a good man. There is a progression, there is an arc there. It's a shame that they turned him into Finn from The Force Awakens, and his entire life, apart from that, revolves around a woman named Rey Skywalker. And then when he finally reunites with Rey Skywalker after not seeing her for the last thing, where he becomes a hero on his own account, they're like, oh, and then they hug, and I'm like, this means nothing to me.
Yeah.
You guys haven't seen each other since the end of last season. Lucy hasn't mentioned his name. Maximus mentioned Lucy twice this season. And once it really was a Rey Skywalker moment where he's like, I need to get this to Lucy. She's a
You need
good
to get this
person.
to the Republic or to
Exactly.
the rebels.
And I feel bad for the fella because he's a decent actor, but he hasn't been really given enough to do because again, we're cutting away from it. And because he's playing the naive idiot for like everything up until this episode. This episode he's finally like, I'm a hero, I'm gonna stand my ground. This is wonderful.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
I mean, like for being my middle of the pack character,
Yep.
like he's higher than Stef and Vault 30, like the 30s,
Big call.
and Rico, but then he's below like the ghouls flashbacks, Mr. House, and probably Lucy.
Because they're cooler.
But he gets the most amount of story, like you said. When you think about it, he went through probably the most. Like he went through the stuff with the Civil War. He went through the stuff with finding Thaddeus. Then he started the Civil War, and then got a hold of the Ultimate Power Source, found Coop, back to the Strip, fought the Death Claws, found Lucy.
Whereas when you go by Coop's storyline, it's he walked a bunch, kid isn't there. Lucy, she walked a bunch, chatted with her dad, stilled her dad. Like everyone else was so linear, whereas
They had like, we're going from point A to point B. Here's some stuff that happened along the way. Like, but his story is like, this is my story, it gets derailed. This
Yeah.
is my story now, it gets derailed. Like he has to actually, like he has a lot of stuff.
the only bad thing about that is if you do like the Brotherhood and think they're cool, this show makes them into dude bro losers.
The Brotherhood is the coolest faction. I'm really showing my stripes here, especially in Fallout 4. I feel like they get like a very cool amount of story. It's like you work your way out from like Scribe to Knight to Paladin. They have like a ranking system like Knights of Old. It just feels like honorable and like some semblance of like the old world, but then like future tech. You're like, holy shit, we really do feel, especially if you buy into all the propaganda that they feed you, you're like, we are the saviors of the Commonwealth. We're the good guys eradicating all this like ghoulish evil from the wasteland.
Yep.
And then they're like just really played as like assholes.
They say bro.
They're like if jocks.
Yeah.
They're what jocks become in the wasteland.
Which, again, shouldn't be it to begin with, but it takes away from the whole knighthood aspect and brotherhood aspect. Like, Thaddeus bullied Maximus in season 1, but it was kind of just like the people in armor were cool, but then they made the first guy we meet in the armor, like that comedian guy, he was a douchebag immediately. So it's like they've never really had respect, but it kind of could have been like Titus was a douchebag among like a bunch of other good guys. But this season they really were like, no, every single one of them is a moron. But then he does do that weird kill another man thing. So it's been a weird storyline for him, but at least stuff has been happening. But I wish it wasn't 10 minutes of each episode with us cutting back and forth around it, because then I would actually feel like he's done something. Whereas it does take me a second to be like, what has Maximus done? Okay, I'm like trying to plot his path through the season.
Yeah.
And like that, I shouldn't have to do that. I should feel like everything that happened to him should shape him, whereas it really does feel a bunch of random shit. But again, at least stuff happened. So
Yeah.
I'll give him that. It's not, again, it's not the incest storyline. So that's a big win in my opinion.
So yeah, he's mollywhopping all these death claws, and then they finally like disable his armor because he's just taken so much damage, and not even Thaddeus, sharpshooter Thaddeus can save him between his toes. Also, I don't like Thaddeus's whole thing where he's like, to get everyone's attention, he just like drops it. He doesn't like throw his arm like through like a window or something. He just like drops it, and everyone just like shuts up.
Yeah. Again, we don't care about anybody in that room, which is a massive detraction from Maximus's storyline this episode, because he's defending Freeside. I don't care about Freeside. Freeside is not a town. Freeside is not a character. I know one of those people in Freeside, but I know him from the TV show The Bear. And that's why I'm like, I like that guy. No one else. You said earlier they play it for laughs because like, I thought the town was going to rise up. The guy's like, you know what? We should help this hero.
Yeah.
And then they cut to another chick and she's like,
I'm not doing that.
because like we're funny. We're a funny show.
Everyone's goofy, remember?
Yeah.
Remember 2 thumbnails ago?
If the show can't take itself seriously, why should I take itself seriously?
Yeah.
I never thought Maximus was going to die.
Very true. I'm like, they're not going to kill one of the main 3.
It's a cool moment when he does climb out of his armor though and grab the pool cue and roulette wheel shield. Like that's a cool thing they did.
Very cool. And then the intro to New Vegas plays where he gets saved by an NCR sniper.
Have we seen an NCR guy properly? If you're a TV show watcher only, which is most people, the NCR means nothing. We saw four of them, 4 people. We've heard that they used to be cool. We thought they got wiped out because the show wiped them out. The lady and guy got kidnapped, but in an earlier episode, he was like, oh, we're all over the place. We're just not here right now. So for them to rock up this episode felt very Deus Ex.
And that's the thing about where I think this show went wrong is they should have made all the factions seem favorable. So that way you don't know who you want to win.
Like the game.
But instead they've made them all seem kind of like dipshits. And so you're like, I don't really care who comes out on top. You don't have this storyline of what is happening to New Vegas. What's going to happen in the end? How is what Lucy does and who they help and who they side with going to affect it? Which it seems like it's going to be the NCR. They just painted as the good guys.
I guess they're outnumbered. But like, again, why don't the people in Freeside leave? Why don't those 10 people in that pub not be in that pub anymore? Like, I don't care about the town enough for anybody to save it. Why does everyone want it?
With the show itself, I hate the fake hype that's being built around it by fans of it.
Feel like it, yeah.
Like last week's episode, people were like, whatever's happening with like the ghoul finally finding his family. It's like Thaddeus going through like the absolute, like he's going to be going through it next episode. Like Thaddeus's storyline going to be crazy. Nothing happens with him.
Everything I've seen on the internet is, oh my God, season 3 is going to be crazy. I'm like, why wasn't this season good? Like, again, it's kicking the stone down the road. You can't base all your hype on the future. It just doesn't make sense to me because, again, this episode didn't give us anything. So why would next season?
If it's trying to follow like the regular kind of trope that I feel like shows have been doing lately where it's like, no, the penultimate episode is the actual finale and then the season finale just sets up the next season. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Because it didn't even do it with last week's episode. I was like, oh, okay, no, they're actually going to have a season finale next episode. Nope, they didn't.
And we're going to run into the problem where, like with Lucy's storyline, how every episode she has to make the same decisions. Next season, we're going to basically have to reset everything so that these characters can go through stuff again. Like Maximus is going to join the NCR. So then it's going to be him building his life as an NCR person. I have no idea what Lucy's going to do. Like
she's going to be tracking down people with chips in their heads, I guess.
I guess Lucy's goal, season 1, episode 1, was find Dad. Like she was Fallout 3'd. So she's now found Dad. But it doesn't feel like she cares about the Enclave or like these sleeper agents because that would involve her being an active character. And she hasn't really been set up as that. She's very reactive. Like, oh, Dad's missing. I'll go get Dad. Like, I guess the same as Coop's storyline, really. But she has no drive to save the wasteland. Like, she hasn't even really met people that she cares about this season, apart from those 2 NCR people. She met one Legion chick who died immediately after semi-betraying her. So, like, what is Lucy's forward momentum here?
Well, it's like the Ghoul needs someone to play off of next season. So I wonder who they're going to introduce for him to be with, or if like Ron Perlman's character is going to become more permanent and there'll be like a ghoulish super mutant duo team up.
Expensive scenes together.
Expensive scenes.
If you got to take away his nose and do a whole super mutant, that's another storyline that went, I say nowhere loosely, because don't worry, it's going to be in season 3. The super mutant, he rocked up for that one scene to save the ghoul, and then it's kind of like, hey, the Enclave is a bad guy, or a war is coming, a storm is coming, Mr. Wayne. You're right in the middle of it. Like, vague future thing, or hey, it's a super mutant. Give me meat. I want to eat something. I don't just want to be told that the food will be good tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night never comes, buddy.
Yeah.
The worst part is that like nothing is guaranteed, and there's no guarantee that season 3 will come.
They are filming it in May.
Hey, there you go. But there's no guarantee that it will be good and we'll get payoffs for any of this.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not putting my faith in this show at all.
yeah. Realistically, season 1, at the very end of the finale as well, it was, oh, I found my dad. Oh, my dad left again. The ghoul was like, he got there, and then Cold Fusion got taken. Like, it's very much a in the future show. So I assume season 3 is going to do the exact same thing. It's going to procrastinate for 7 episodes and then tell us about season 4.
Yeah. And look, just because we're hating on it, it's not a bad show. We watched Alien Earth last year.
Now that was a cuck show.
This was just like, it was mediocre and underwhelming. It was just like, it felt weirdly paced, but it wasn't horrible. Yes, we're hating on it, but it's obviously disappointment coming through.
It feels like there is a good show in here somewhere.
It's a good show. Like the sets are great.
Yep. Acting's still pretty top tier, apart from the quips, but that's not acting, that's writing.
Yeah. The Memberberry stuff they choose to include in there feels great.
I just wonder how many people that's lost on, because the biggest sentiment online I see though is, I wish this was 10 or 12 episodes. So it's, people are saying, oh, that season 2 finale was fantastic because, I don't know, you paid shills? I don't know. But then they're like, but also I wish it was 10 to 12 episodes. And it's like, what you're telling me is you were unsatisfied, but you still like member berries. Yeah. Like, the show could have given you way more substance if it cut the fat. Like, just cut out half these characters. The thumbnail of this episode is probably going to be all the goddamn characters. We're going to do probably another whole video on this show as a whole, even though we kind of did cover a little bit. But I want to talk about each individual one a bit more in depth, because like Lucy didn't get much screen time this season. There's like 8 hours of this show, and I will look up how much of each person you actually get to see, because I doubt it's very much.
I guess there's a tiny little bit at the end. I don't know. I wouldn't have known to stick around this long if you didn't mention it, but there's a tiny little snippet of the Brotherhood. There's like limbs everywhere and like people getting stim packs and like stumps. We see Buzzcut Mustachio go to the Grand Dragon of the Brotherhood. He's like, I have the plans, and then he's like, no more. He literally says pretty much line for line, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Hello, Mr. Meanie Pants.
Hello, Mr. Destroyer.
And then he points down at a thing, and then the camera has to catch up and pans down. And then you just see like a blueprint schematic. It's literally like front shot, side shot, headshot of like a blueprint of Liberty Prime.
Does that mean he's somewhere? They have to go find him? I don't know if everyone would realize that it's a 100-foot tall mech, but that exists and is a thing because Memberberry /
we need to keep them relevant for next season.
Yeah.
We need to be like, what are they up to? What are they planning?
We haven't seen them in half a season, so they're doing something, I promise.
Very true.
But what did you guys think? You're allowed to like it. If you loved it, tell us why. Would be wonderful. Your favorite Memberberry. Who knows? As always, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot, and we'll see you next week.
Quick shout out to Incident Electron, HSMWIHS2, RA9 Music, Timothy, and I Just Saw a Messy. Thanks, guys. It means a lot.